Mimi mkewe Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga.
Tafadhali wakina mama tunyamaze, tafadhali tunyamaze. Nyamaze wakina mama. Wakina mama tafadhali tunyamaze, tusikize mgeni. Tusikize mgeni tafadhali.
Na mimi
tusikize mgeni tafadhali.
Mimi ni mama kama nyinyi.
Tusikize mgeni tafadhali wakina mama.
Mimi
shwa.
Acha mkipiga kelele, we are one under God. Huyo Mungu mnaomba ndio Mungu mimi pia naomba.
The former Prime Minister's wife, Mama Ida Odinga, was in Meru, you see, and she has been going around campaigning for the former Prime Minister, and this time she was in Meru just a day after she was in Muranga for a political function. The political function in Muranga went on okay, and everything was done with, I think, as they had planned. Then now it was the following day to go to Meru, and she had a plan to go and meet the Azimio la Umoja aspirants and candidates. And before that, she was also supposed to attend a church event. This was a Catholic Women Association event, and she was one of the best who was invited. And she was also the chief guest of this event. So you know that when you are the chief guest of an event, you have to speak. There's no way you can be a chief guest of an event and you don't talk, because chief guest simply means that you're the most important person in that event per se. But now this happened. She was not allowed to speak, and she was really shouted at. People really, the crowd went wild when she started speaking, and yeah, it was not something that went down. She was not even able to go on with her speech. She did not even start her speech. I can tell you that she didn't even start her speech. After Mama Ida was heckled off stage in Meru, there has been so many responses from different people. And you know, as of course, as Kenya, you know, social media is the place where everything goes down. And many leaders spoke, and many members of the public also gave their opinions about the same. And as you know, the guys from the UDA part were celebrating and were very excited. And the guys from the Azimio la Umoja, of course, didn't like it. And some of them even spoke down the event, trying to say that it was an issue, that whether Mama Ida was heckled or not, it was a non-issue, that it had nothing to do, it had no effect on 2022 elections. So I'm going to analyze this event. I'm going to tell you guys what really happened, what caused this, what made people to shout at her, and what really made her leave, and the effect that this has on 2022 elections, and how the Mount Kenya region is really receiving Baba and Azimio la Umoja. Even Honorable Gachagua went ahead and said that Mama Ida was just being fought back by the same church that her husband was fighting. In other words, he said that this was a fight between the church and Raila Odinga's family, because as he said that Raila Odinga has been fighting the church when he talked about Dr. Ruto giving out money around in churches, trying to buy the church. You guys know that, and if you are guys who has been in this country, you know the issue about that. Anyway, let's listening to what Honorable Gachagua really said about this. One of the strong UDA members really said about what happened to Mama Ida in the event.
Na ndio uliona yule bibi akitendawili juzi alisema bwana yake akichukua urais atafunga makanisa, ili anasema ni dogo dogo. Jana ameenda Meru, Wakristo ya Catholic wamesema hutaongea hapa, wewe ulisema utafunga kanisa mkiwa na bwana yako. Kwa hivyo uwezi tisha sisi utafunga makanisa alafu uongea wapi? Kwa hivyo Wakristo mjue, uchaguzi huu, the Church of Christ for once has a candidate ambaye ni mcha Mungu, ambaye anaheshimu kanisa. Na mjue vile moderator umesema tuombee kanisa, wale wengine wanatisha kanisa, wanasema ni makosa kutoa matoleo kanisani. Alilete msaada kupitia mtu yake anaitwa John Badi kwa bunge, ati harambee ya kanisa ipigwe marufuku, tukakataa. Mjue kanisa ya Kristo itakuwa kwa hatari. Huyo mtu kwa bahati mbaya akipenyea pahali yeyote aingi, kwa sababu ukisikia bibi ya mtu akisema kitu, si wameongea na bwana yake.
So that's what Honorable Gashago was saying. And guys, if you are why you really need to subscribe to this channel is because if you want to know the real issues, this is where the real issues are at. And we have a video on this channel where I'm explaining to you guys exactly this propaganda that is going around, that Honorable Raila, in a way, there's this time that was fighting the church. I'm going to explain. I have a video where I'm explaining to you guys what he really said compared to what the opponents are really saying that he said about the church, that he's really fighting the church. So yeah, I have a video on that. Anyway, let's continue with this analysis. So as I said, there were these politicians who are here. There's a reason why I mentioned some politicians who were present in this event. Number one is because the organizer of this event said that there were no politicians allowed in the event. And the politicians who came, just came, and they, of course, when you come to an event, politicians in this country, especially MPs and senators, these are people who are so much respected that there's no way you are ever expecting the church to chase them away when they choose to attend a meeting, even though they're not invited. If you not hear people saying that wewe kuitwa huku usikuje, blah blah blah, like people will just respect and allow you in, because sometimes you may be becoming some sadaka, you know. And our churches love sadakas, so they, of course we don't expect them to chase them away. But now, according to the organizer, Sister Gema Mbui, there was an outright plan not to allow no politician to speak in the event, because they wanted to make sure that the event was purely a prayer meeting. So there was no politician who was going to be allowed to speak. Remember, I told you guys Mama Ida was invited and she was the chief guest. And when you invite somebody as chief guest, they're exceptional. Like whether they're politicians or not, they have to speak because they are the chief guest. They're the main guests here. So this is why she had to speak. So what the organizer said is that after now the events now was going on, it was clear that Honorable Linturi and the other politicians who came were not going to speak. They were not going to get a chance to speak. And when they got this message, they made sure that the message was gotten to their supporters. Mark you, these guys came with their supporters. They came with a crowd. You see, they came with a crowd. They did not come alone. And so they sent the message not to the women, the members of the Catholic Church, but the crowd that they came with, who were also women, who were the crowd now, who were all over the place. In fact, the organizer says that in the crowd there were so many. These people were so many, the people who were sent. And so prior to this, the politicians knew that the only person who is going to speak is Mama Ida, and they made sure that their crowd that they came with, the crowd in court that they came with, knew this. So they made sure that they incited them and told them that we have to speak. You see, of course, they usually say that when a dog barks, just know that the owner is around. So these guys started giving pressure to the organizer that these people have to speak. And the organizer even says that she had to tell the bishop that these guys are building so much pressure on her and telling her that that interruption of this event is going to be imminent if you don't allow these other politicians to speak, because they're not going to allow Mama Ida to speak and then the rest don't speak. You see, so the pressure was building up, and I think because of this pressure, the organizers decided to allow Linturi to speak. And just before Linturi spoke, he made sure he prepared the crowd, and he talked about 22 elections and talked about greetings from DP Ruto. Then just after, so the crowd was already charged. You see, he made sure he had charged. Mark you, I told you there's a politician who came with a crowd, and this politician is Honorable Linturi and the other MP. So after he made sure he charged the crowd by mentioning Ruto's name. You guys, you know what happens to a dog when there's meat around, when there's meat, like there's an event around and there's getting the smell of meat around. The dog can always bite you, even if it normally it wouldn't bite you. Like there's an overexcitement that happens around. So Linturi had made the dog very angry for more, and anybody will come against the dog, that person will meet the wrath. And McHugh, these people came with the Linturi, which means they were paid. These were hired crowd to come and attend this meeting. So the next person to speak was after now the pressure had built and the guys allowed the politicians to speak, and Linturi now was the last. I mean, he was the most senior politician to speak, so he was supposed to leave a chance for Mama Ida to speak. So and already, Makio, I told you that the crowd was speaking. People were moving around the crowd, telling people to make sure that they boo Mama Ida just before she could even stand. Then she stood up and she introduced herself. And that's what happened. Everybody started shouted her down, and she walked out of the event openly angry. And yeah, she went ahead and Makio, guys, if you want to know that this event was really not the real event, after that she went now to the real event, which was where she was going to meet the aspirants. You see, and she was going to do some events over there. And when she was going to meet these aspirants, it was a very successful event. The same way it was a very successful event that she had in Muranga, where he was doing some empowerments and meeting the aspirants. So yeah, that's what really happened, and that debunks everything that guys are talking about Meru politics. And majority of guys who are talking about Meru politics really don't understand the depth of the Meru politics, and they really don't understand the strength of Kiraitu Murungi and Peter Munya in that region. And that's why you guys can talk about Ruto being the main guy over there, but I can tell you guys that Ruto can never be the main guy there, Raila can never be the main guy there, even Uhuru himself can never be the main guy in Maryland, part of Mount Kenya. The main guys over there are Kiraitu Murungi and Peter Munya, guys. I'm telling you that for free, and if you think I'm lying to you, watch a detailed video where I'm explaining for you guys the party politics of Meru and why Peter Munya decided not to vie and step down for Honorable Kiraitu for the governor seat of Meru County. So thank you for staying in, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. And this is the Liberal Informer. Don't forget to subscribe, to like this video, and share with people who really get information from this. God bless you, God bless Kenya, God bless your family.